Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have another build video. This time we're looking at the Starship Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. And we'll be tackling stages 7 through 10. Hope you had a great weekend or Thanksgiving and weekend, and glad you're joining us today. So let's just get into it. All right, first up here, we have stage 7, and we will be working on the uh, next section of the Enterprise D. This is the section that houses the phaser arrays and will connect uh, partially the saucer section with the rest of the starship. So as you see here, right now, I am installing the first phaser array. And we will push this into position, and then there's two little springs that we install on the nubs that are on the phaser array. And once those are in position, we are going to install the backing here with two AP screws. So if you're joining us, be sure to say hi in the chat. Let me know how your Thanksgiving went. Is the Enterprise a model you're interested in? If so, let me know. Maybe you already subscribed to whenever it was at D Augustini, or now that it's a fan home kit. And just tighten that up here, and then we will be moving into the next section, which is some support struts for the saucer skeletal section. So we'll need some pieces. We'll need the piece from the last stage, which was stage 6, which you can check out in our last video. And I did add a playlist to the channel. So now that this is probably our third in the series, you'll be able to, if you're interested in going back, you can watch the complete build once this is all done. Right now, I'm test fitting one of the skeletal supports, and we will attach this one with 2 BM screws. And since this is metal, I'm going to go ahead and apply our 3-in-1 lubricant. This helps the metal screw bite down on the metal pieces and thread easily. Again, these screws are really small, so you got to be careful not to over tighten, as you will strip them pretty easily. But that's with the help of that 3-in-1 lubricant. Uh, they go right in, so there's no struggle. All right, now we'll apply our final support. This is part U4D. And again, we're going to use 2 BM screws. And again, we will apply our lubricant. was interesting. I was having a discussion with a colleague of mine the other day about Star Trek in general and how much I'm enjoying the new series Strange New Worlds, which completed its second season several months back. It's been a great show. Um, really nice diversion from Discovery, which kind of took on a kind of new direction for Star Trek. Strange New Worlds really goes back to its roots and captures the original spirit of the show. So it's really great to watch. And of course, this season had the big crossover with Lower Decks, which is the cartoon. So it was pretty interesting to see, uh, a comedic cartoon characters come to life in this uh, series. And with this final screw, this will come to our stage 7. And with that done, we will go ahead and get set up for stage 8. Okay. And as we're getting stage 8 set up, once again, I want to thank you for joining us. And if you're enjoying this content, please hit subscribe and hit that like button, and you'll get more videos just like these. As always, to get alerted whenever we have a new video, go ahead and ring that bell. We try to do uh, a live episode every Saturday at 9:30 Central Time. We do not only these Star Trek builds, but we also do a build kit from Knight Rider series. And then, of course, on our other nights, we'll talk arcade one up, well, and other home arcade products like At Games. We'll talk retro gaming, and one of the more interesting subjects I like talking about, AI. So, with that, let's head back over to the build station and take a look at stage 8. And so, as you can see, we're back to the neck. We're going to be installing the other phaser array, and we'll be repeating the step from stage 7, where we insert the phaser array. We're going to add the 2 springs to the attached peg. And then with the cover, we are going to use 2 AP screws. And as this is all plastic pieces, there is no need to apply our 3-in-1 lubricant. So we'll just screw those down. Again, being careful not to over tighten and strip the holes. One of the interesting things with this kit is each month it comes with a magazine with facts and information about the series, which is always interesting to read if you're not a big Trekkie like myself, who I just enjoy the show. I'm really more of a Star Wars guy. But it's pretty interesting. Like, I was not aware that originally they had planned for the Enterprise in Star Trek Next Generation to be called the Enterprise G. Um, that's largely because they wanted the series to be so far removed from the original that they going to put it way in the future, but opted for the 100-year jump with the Next Generation, so the D made more sense. The show went through a few iterations with the title. Star Trek The Mission Continues was one. Star Trek The New Voyages was another. And of course, Star Trek Brave New Worlds was the third working title. It's interesting. I think you can probably imagine that New Voyages became Voyager later on. And then, of course, Brave New Worlds, really Strange New World, pretty much aligns with that title. Obviously, Brave New World from the book, but pretty interesting stuff. Also, I noted several of the original crew from the original series came back to work on the Next Generation show, which was interesting. 30 years later, they rejoined the production. So now we're back doing more skeletal pieces. So again, we are going to connect uh, the skeletal structure from stage 8 with the new skeletal or sorry, from stage 7 with the new skeletal structure from stage 8. Again, we have our two support struts, and we are going to attach the first one with two BM screws. And as this is metal, again, we're using our 3-in-1 lubricant. Today we'll be doing a lot of skeletal structure and some work on the neck over the next couple stages. This is in prep for when we start actually inserting the panels onto the saucer section, which will be pretty interesting. If you joined us last time, you may remember the battery box and PCB to test the lighting was defective. Fan Home at no charge to us is reshipping out that stage, the stage 3 parts, so that we can get those working and fully test our LED lighting and our completed components. Here we're putting in the final strut for stage 8. And there you have it. There's our completed section. So let's get busy on stage 9, where we are going to expand our skeleton for the saucer and start adding lights and windows to our neck component. Again, if you're in the chat, be sure to give us a shout out. Love to hear how your Thanksgiving went. So we'll be taking our first new skeletal structure and connecting that to the one we've done here in stage 7 and 8. Again, we're going to take two of the struts and attach both of those with our BM screws, being careful to use the 3-in-1 lubricant so that those screws slide right in. Here, there's a little bit of a gap here where the two pieces don't align perfectly. I'm hoping as we start installing our saucer panels that the way that they connect, they kind of overlap so that ends up sitting flush. But I guess we'll find out in future stages. Here you might be able to start being able to tell just how large this model will be. This is just basically like the corner section um, of the saucer. It may be is a fifth of the total saucer section. So you can imagine how large this piece will be when it is complete. And I can tell you these metal struts have some weight to them. So the entire saucer is going to be heavy. So I'm going to be interested in seeing how this model is able to support such a heavy, large structure, especially when you see the display stand that this kit comes with. It's a simple rod that connects to the main part of the ship. And then that saucer section is just suspended there, connected to the neck and the rest of the ship. So um, there's got to be some pretty heavy duty structure inside this thing in order to support that weight. So now we're going to take our neck and we're going to start inserting our clear and black windows. This part's always fun. These pieces are little tiny, and when you have big old fingers like myself, it's always takes some doing. Technically, when you these come, they come in a plastic piece all connected, and you twist out each window. That can leave little barbs at the end. Um, I'd love to say I take my time and I sand those down or cut those down with an X-Acto knife, but I do not. I'm an impatient fellow. I like to get things done, so I just kind of shove them in there and hope that the barbs aren't too bad. Um, in the next step, after we get all these windows in place, we'll be installing a backing here that will hold all those in place. So even if the barb doesn't let the little window sit perfectly flush, that piece will still hold it in there. So I'm not too worried about it. But these do just set in there. They just lay in the hole. There's a little groove on the front side of the window, so it slides right into the hole within the neck piece. And then there's a pattern that the manual has, which you can see here over on my left, that shows you where the clear ones go, where the opaque ones. And that one's fitting in there. This always takes a little bit of time. There are a lot of little pieces here, and they can slide out while you're doing the other ones. So take care, take your time to get them in line. And we're almost done with this top row, and there are just a few windows in the next row, and then we'll be done inserting. If you're interested in these fan home kits, they are running a Black Friday sale right now. You can get up to 30% depending on the kit. I noticed Knight Rider is 10% off for the life of the subscription. Also, they have a Fast and Furious 1/43rd scale and little die cast cars like Hot Wheels, only they're probably twice the size of a Hot Wheels. Those are also 10% off if you're a Fast and Furious fan. Interesting, Fan Home has two new model kits that they've released recently, which I'm somewhat interested in. One is a RoboCop. So it's this articulated metal RoboCop figure, which looks pretty cool. And also, they have an ET uh, that they worked out. So it's like a robotic ET that has um, a silicone skin on it, I guess. It's not as big as I thought it would be. Fan Home has a 1/2 scale R2D2, which is a really big size. I thought, for a kit like this. So I I honestly thought the ET would be similar to that, but it is much smaller, but it is pretty cool. It's a because it is, um, I forget what it's actually called, but, animatronic. So it's pretty interesting. Alright, that's our last window. So we're gonna go ahead and get the backing here, and we're going to align our LEDs. These will illuminate the clear windows. And in this case, in order to hold these in, we'll bend back the wires so that the LEDs are kind of pinched in the locations where they're indicated. Otherwise, they just fall right out. You can also use a piece of clear tape that also works to hold them in place. In this case, I just bent them back as one is indicated that you need to bend anyway. So I just went ahead and bent. All right, with that nearing completion here, what we'll do is lay that over the windows we just put in place, and we're going to secure those with 4 BP screws. Again, this is being screwed plastic into plastic, so we'll want to be extra careful when tightening screws down, not to strip the holes. That fits in just like so. This is always fun when you're trying to secure one piece and put the screws on and then line them up to the holes and actually screw them in at the same time. Uh, Definitely can be delicate. This one's going in not too big a deal. So I'll get one in and then I will jump across the way and do the one on the opposite end on the upper side so that we have 2 anchor points on opposite sides to keep that tight down. That'll make it easier to work with when we do the final 2 holes. And I may have over tightened that one just a little, uh, loosened up there right at the end. So hopefully that stays in place. And we got one last screw here, and we'll be done with stage 9. There we go, all in place. We have it. All right, so now we'll get stage 10 all set up. And while we're doing that, again, I want to thank you for joining. Remind you to hit that like button if you like what you're seeing. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. And let's jump back to the build table. All right, we have stage 10 all laid out here for us. Again, we're going to be working on the skeletal support structure for the saucer, and then we'll be doing the windows and LEDs for the other side of the neck. So, first up, we're going to attach the 2 struts at the bottom of the skeletal structure. And again, these will go in with 2 BM screws each. and we will use our 3-in-1 lubricant to make that process simple. Anybody get any good Black Friday deals over the last couple days? I certainly took advantage of some good deals at Target for the kids. Picked up some toys, you know, stuff dad likes to get because, dad likes toys and then he can play with them too. I know there were a lot of good deals uh, on Arcade One Up's newest deluxe products. You could pretty much get them 20% off everywhere. Um, saw today from, I believe it was posted on Reddit and then over on Quartercade's channel, the Time Crisis Arcade One Up cabinet, which is the one of the new ones that for this year, is currently 20% off at Wayfair. You do have to Google that to actually find it. It doesn't come up on their site unless you go do a Google search for some reason. But if you're interested in getting that, if you also sign up for text messages, they will text you another 10% off coupon, which does work. So you can take that cab down from its regular price of 749 down to 540, and then of course tax. But it does include free shipping. It's pretty good discount for that one. It's roughly, pretty close to 30% off. Also noticed over on Amazon, Govi's having a big discount this weekend. Not only are several of their LED lights discounted down uh, anywhere from 20 to 30%, but some have coupons attached with them. So if you're looking for lighting for your home arcade or your office or your YouTube setup, there's some great deals to be had right now. I personally have been kind of eyeing their outdoor Christmas lights setup. I think it's pretty cool. Not Not too keen about installing them myself. I have a two-story house, and I'm not a big fan of climbing up ladders, but, especially second-story ladders. Don't mind a normal 8-foot ladder, but once you get way up there, I'm not a big fan. So they're pretty reasonably priced for what they are, and you install them permanently, so you can have lights on the outside of your house for every holiday or just for security purposes. It's pretty cool. They do respond like all Govee lights to music and everything else. So you get a pretty fancy holiday setup going, especially if you add the Govee's curtain lights, where you can have holiday scenes and things like that pop up in your windows. Um, can have a pretty elaborate setup with the new Govee stuff. And again, we're doing the fun part of putting in our clear and opaque windows following the pattern on the instruction manual here. And we're just going to be repeating the same steps we did in stage 9, where once we have these in place, we will install our LEDs into the backing and then attach the backing to secure these windows in place. One of the interesting tidbits in this issue of Build the Enterprise D that came with this month's shipment talked about how Gene Roddenberry actually wanted to reboot the original series in the 70s. The idea was to bring out uh, new missions around 1977, but that actually grew into the Star Trek the Motion Picture. And really, at that point, Gene Roddenberry did not want to uh, really do TV anymore. He wanted to focus on Star Trek as a film. So it took some doing to actually get him to come back when they launched the next generation and be involved. At first, it was going to launch without him, but as he saw it progressing and what they were doing, he wanted to become a part of it. He did become the showrunner and helped bring some of that um, authenticity of the original series and his vision for the show. Once again, we're installing our LEDs and bending them up in order to pin them into the plate, and we will just fit that right on. And there are nubs indicating where, and they fit on there nice and smooth. But again, we'll have to hold it here and try to insert our screws until we can get two to secure it. Go ahead and put those in. Again, being sure not to over tighten. Again, I did that in the last one, and uh, it's stayed so far, but you can definitely feel that it's not really gripping anymore. Here, of course, we're using our BP screws. Four of those. And we'll be putting in our last one here. And of course, I just over tightened it. Felt that one slip a little as well. So does seem to be holding well. So that's good. And we have completed stage 10, our neck assembly and the saucer skeletal. So that's it for this month's build video. Again, we completed stages 7 through 10. We have our saucer skeletal structure starting to take shape. We worked a little bit on the neck where we installed 4 LED lights around the upper windows. We installed 2 phaser arrays. So until the next one, thanks for joining us and can't wait to see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your weekend. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for This Week in Retro Gaming News.